So tell us about your next round then. What's happening, where is it, and when?
Yeah, so we've just got back from Spa. Again, we ruined another great circuit track for you guys. But actually for Rallycross, it was great. Obviously, we had a Rouge, a really good dirt off-road section there, and the car was really performing well. So we head into Silverstone this weekend, Speed Machine. Again, another F1 track. We haven't managed to get any dirt onto this track. We're on a different part of the track where Aston Martin are based. So this is what they call Speed Machine. It's a festival type weekend. We've got music lined up there with Sean Paul. So it's just an action-packed weekend, really. The track is good fun. It's tight and technical track, and there's a really big jump. So there's a lot to do on this little circuit, but I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to stay sunny, so it should be a good weekend.
And your career so far, it's you've raced all types of different machines as well in the British Championship as well. Are you? What are you focusing on in 2019? Is it just to? What are your aims this year really for racing?
Our main aims this year, obviously, we built a car, as we talked about last year, in 3 months before 2018. There's a lot of testing to do with the car, a lot of updates to be done. But the car's really getting strong now. It's getting reliable. I think it's got the speed to be consistent with the semi-final. So that's our goal this year. We were right on the cusp in Spa. A few sort of mishaps on the first turn. There was some dirt on the first turn, which made us run wide a few times. But I think the car's there now for the speed. So I think consistent semi-finals is where we're aiming for this year. And if we can try and get that more consistent towards the end of the year, we'll be happy.
And there was a lot of heated debate online in the WRX community, especially before this time last year when it was the Speed Machine's first time out, about just how well it might go at Silverstone. But thankfully, you and Silverstone did I think the nation proud, really. I think in putting on a fantastic show, not only in motorsport as well, but an all-round family-friendly environment. And I'm sure it will be the same again this weekend.
Yeah, I think it will. They've done a great job, really, with the sort of area they were provided to make that track. It's a small area, it's quite tight, and obviously it's good to stretch the legs of these supercars. They're 600 horsepower, really fast machines, so the track is probably a bit short for us, but I think they've made it technical. Obviously it's got a great jump, which is good for the fans, and it's really about the weekend. You can see the whole track from the pitch, you can come and have some food, there's the good music, so it's a family weekend out. It makes total sense. So I think this bank holiday weekend, with the sun shining, I think it should be a good turnout.
Now our passionate editor and Connor Jackson is here with us, and also WRX also passionate fan Nigel Chew joins us, our other journalist, and they've got a couple of questions for you, starting with Nigel.
Yeah, hi Ollie. So last time out in Spa was a new track, so we saw a big banked gravel turn, and the cars went up Eau Rouge and back down. Do you think we should have more tracks where the cars can take different lines and allow better racing?
Yeah, I think so. It was nice for Spa, really. It was the first track where we've had wide lines and different lines. In that, it's probably the most overtaken I've ever seen of a circuit. So I think they could really learn some lessons from that, really give us the room. And I think that's where the benefits of the loose come in. I think some of these F1 tracks sometimes don't keep enough of the loose surface on for us, and then it can become very one-lined. So yeah, I think there's lessons learned there. Keep it wide, get some really big loose sections in where there's different lines to be played with, and then I think the racing will just be much better to watch.
Yeah. And Connor, go on.
Yes, obviously Nigel talks about that different line through the gravel section. It was very interesting, but the Joker section I noticed didn't appear to affect drivers as much as I know certain other circuits. I think it was only about a 2-second disadvantage to go through the Joker section. As a driver, does this make your approach to the race any different? Does it? Would you be more inclined to do the Joker lap early, in the knowledge that if you fall back early on, it's very hard to make up that difference in tracks like that?
Yeah, the Joker was, as you said, short there, which made the difference to as you're coming down the hill from a Rouge, you really had to pick your moment in terms of how big that gap was. And of course, what you probably couldn't see as a spectator is we could brake so much later for the entrance to the Joker. So although you didn't necessarily see the 2-second difference in the Joker, the braking down the hill was much more severe to take the normal racing line. So that's where I could see time was being lost. I had in my Q4 race that I won, I had a car come down the inside of me down the hill, and that meant I was already braking early for the turn for the normal lap, but I had to brake it and go to the Joker lap. Just by braking too early for that Joker cost me an extra second on the race time. So it was surprising that if you couldn't keep the momentum into the Joker, or you were following, or you was braking behind someone down the hill, that was probably the best time not to take it, really. It was just about having clean air into that Joker and really maximising the braking zone. So yeah, fun, tricky little section there, and you had to get it right, and overall it did affect the races, but not as much as we've seen some other Jokers.
Fantastic. Obviously, you yourself racing the Mini Cooper for the Excite Racing team at Spa and all of this season. You're the only driver racing this mini car at the world stage, at least. Surely that must present different challenges, because obviously different drivers have different teammates that they can rely data on. For you, it is very much just you, yourself, and what your team can come up with.
Yeah, it makes a sort of wide range of dynamics, I guess, going into a race weekend. We've got no setup benchmarks. Obviously, we're gathering data all the time. The car is very new. It's the only car in the world. We built it ourselves. So there's no real, I guess, right setup yet for the car. We're getting very close. You've probably seen the lap times are coming down and down. We're getting more consistent, and reliability is getting better. So I think the car has a lot of grip. It can be very, very fast in certain conditions, and I think the other teams have noticed that. Many commented in Spa how fast it can be in different situations. So I think for us, it's learning the car at the minute, learning what does work, what diff setups we need, what suspension setups we need. I think once we find the right balance with this car, it's going to be very fast. But yeah, as we all know, it's time, a lot of testing to get all these things right and build a competitive car. Obviously, these guys have been doing it for 10 or more years now. The cars are well defined, so we've got a lot of catching up to do.
Indeed, Nigel, if you've got anything else to...
Yeah, I was going to ask, we saw over the winter VW, Audi, Peugeot, they all pulled out. Has the paddock, has it changed? Does it feel different? Does it feel more like it? I know you weren't there in 2014-15, but does it feel different with the non-presence of the big manufacturers?
I think so, yeah. I think the general sort of pit vibe has definitely gained its sort of focus back. There's a lot more discussions going on in and around the pits. There's a lot more people going in and out of other people's tents. There's not so much sort of closed doors situations which the factory teams are used to. So I think for the teams and the drivers, it's made a much more sort of community feel to it. But I think if anything on the racetrack, it's just got tougher, because I think there was a carrot at the end and we all thought we could get it. So I think if anything, the game's upped. And I really think we saw when Ekstrom come back in his factory winning car in Spa, I really think even he probably seen that the level has gone up again, just from these guys trying to eke everything out to get the win that they can now see. So I think it's done wonders for the sport. The racing's great. It's anyone's game still. Anyone can win a race, really. So I think it's been a good thing all in all.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with that, with what he said. My last question for me is, your starts to me have improved because it's a new car. Obviously, in Rallycross, the start is very important to get to 2-1 first. How do you think the car can progress through the year, and can you even get to a final?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of progression to be done. I can tell you a little bit of data, I guess, from Spa, but our car is actually consistently in the top 5 out of every car off the start line in terms of 0 to 60 time. So that's one thing we have got right. We can get to the first corner. The next problem is then stringing 4 laps together. So that's the difficult bit. And I think it's coming for us. Like you've seen with Liam and other drivers this year, if you get in the semi-finals, a lot of the work is done. And then it's can you keep it flat out for the remaining semi-finals and make that top 3 to the final. So I think once you're in the semis, I think you're 50% there. And then, of course, there's a bit of luck and see what the other drivers do and hope for the best.
If I may just finish then, Ollie, you've worked obviously very hard this year with your team, and we're moving now to Silverstone now, to obviously the British round. You yourself, Liam Doran, is also another British driver that's there. But you've also worked this year with Christopher Hoy, I believe, at the Barcelona round. It must be interesting to work with someone from a very different background than yourselves.
Yeah, it was really interesting actually to have him in the car, and I think there you can see sort of a different level of athleticism, I guess, in terms of obviously for the 6 gold medals he won, he had to be very focused, very driven. You could tell there was a lot of regime involved in his training, and it was quite surprising to see him. He would sit in a car sort of 20 minutes before the race, just sat in the car, sometimes with his eyes closed in different things. And I was talking to him about that, and for him it was all visualization. He was sat in the car really visualizing the race, visualizing what he can control and what he can't control. And it was quite interesting to see that. A lot of us rallycross drivers, I guess, are more sort of get in and go flat out and do our best, where he had a much more sort of thought process to how he was approaching each race and how he was coping with his mindset, really.
Indeed, obviously Christopher being a very experienced racer, not just with cycling, as you say, but he's also done Le Mans prior to that. So he's definitely someone that knows his experience. But just a final word from yourself then, with Silverstone coming up, is there any is there any special crowds and sponsors I know that you have to please at these home rounds? Because I'm sure sponsorship must be very different for you guys compared to the track racing that we have.
Yeah, I mean, Rallycross is quite a spectacle for sponsors, especially they like to come because, of course, they can see the whole race. So Speed Machine is a big focus for us, especially with the brand Excite Energy, which is our title sponsor. We've got a lot of guests coming from there. I think we're up to about 50 people now coming just to see our team alone. Plus, obviously, some fans I've got online that are coming to support. So, yeah, it's going to be tough. I don't really find that adds too much pressure to myself. I just focus on what I can control, go in the race strong and just hope for the best. And obviously, whatever happens, really, they'll enjoy it. So that's the main thing.
Certainly, Ollie, definitely we'll be keeping up with your progress in Silverstone. And I know you are, as you mentioned earlier, aiming to get into the semi-finals. Can you definitely do that?
Yeah, I mean, you can never say definitely in Rallycross. Anything can happen in that first corner. But I think the speed is there in the car. I think it's everything to play for. A bit of luck on our side, a few good starts, especially in Q1, and we'll be there. So it's definitely there. It's going to be a tough weekend. Everyone wants to be there, but let's see what happens.
And just finally then, Excite Energy as well. How is this? How is it all going for you as the company director, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's a crazy sort of industry to be in, competitive industry. I'm trying to flip different hats of brand owner and also racing driver. So there's a lot going on. We're up to a team of 15 now. We've got some retail listings coming up this summer. So we'll be in most of the UK cities where you'll find our drinks. So crazy, really. It's a lot to do. But yeah, I'll switch off my hat tomorrow and I'll get into racing driver mode and straight to Silverstone. So
something you've been so far very successful in doing, in making that juggling all those things. Anyway, good luck with it, and I guess we can just see just how well you do this weekend, and very best of luck once again from everyone here at Motorsport Radio, and we'd love to maybe have you back on later in the season. Yeah, brilliant. No, thanks guys for having me, and good luck, and stay tuned for what happens on the weekend.